Hello, everybody. House of Champions transfer special with our friend Fabrizio Romano. Hope you're all well. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe before we get into this. Download, follow, leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. And of course, if you prefer the more old school methods, then tell your friends as well. Word of mouth always works, never fails. Fabrizio, how are you doing, my friend? It's been a while since we've had one of these one-on-ones to chat transfers.
Yes, I'm great. Thank you. Hope you too. It was a special week for Italian teams, especially for Milan teams. And so, I'm based here. So it's a special week for Milano. And let's see how it's going to be next week.
Exactly. Well, let's start off with that then. So, a little bit of Champions League reaction. Like you said, a very good very good week. Sorry, for Milan clubs in the Champions League. What do you think is going to happen? Now over the two legs. Obviously, both clubs set up very well to potentially give us a Milan derby in the semi-finals. What's your feeling?
Yes, I will keep things open because honestly, Benfica were really disappointing. They were playing home, but it was not the usual team. So I'm sure they will have a reaction at San Siro, and it's not going to be an easy game for Inter. But of course, 2-0 is a big opportunity for them. They have many players now performing at good level, including Romelu Lukaku. And so a positive moment for Inter. And of course, I see them as favorites. And in Napoli-Milan game, I think is going to be different. Maradona is going to be different feeling. Victor Osimhen will be there because Luciano Spalletti yesterday after the game confirmed that Osimhen will be available for the second leg, and so I think it's a big opportunity for Napoli to return into the game, to have Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen in their positions. Of course, they will miss Kim, and this is a big problem. Milan were fantastic. The atmosphere at San Siro was amazing, but I think it's going to be a different kind of game at Maradona Stadium, and so something to follow. I think everything is still open there.
You're going to put your neck on the line and give us some predictions, Fab?
I think the Milan derby would be really incredible. This is what I pick because I think that's going to be also a big one for Italian football and for San Siro. I think the fans, Milan, Inter fans, have been really special in the last 2-3 years, and so that would be mad to see a Milan-Inter game in the Champions League semi-final. But Napoli, I think they will be there until the final minutes.
All right, interesting. Well, let's see what next week has in store. Well, we did promise you some transfer goodness, so no further ado, we will get into that with Fab now. So don't forget to jump into the chat, ping your questions over, and we'll try and get to as many as possible while we have Fab for the next 15 or 20 minutes or so. Okay, Fab, big news with Jude Bellingham. Liverpool seemingly giving up on him. Why are they announcing this now?
I think, first of all, we have to remind that Liverpool haven't announced anything officially. So this is something that we have to remind. Of course, there was some rumors and stories that we can confirm. So Liverpool feeling internally is that they are not going for Jude Bellingham because of the financial situation. What's the point? That Liverpool, of course, always had Jude Bellingham on top of their list, and they still love Jude Bellingham. So nothing has changed on that. But the point is the financial package. So it's way too much at the moment for Liverpool, because they feel that to sign Jude Bellingham this summer, what is needed is 130 million pounds at least to convince Borussia Dortmund, and then a big salary to the player on a 5 or 6 year deal, and also an important commission. So it's a really expensive deal. Also, the feeling I have is maybe Liverpool in November, December, January, they were feeling, okay, we need a refresh of the squad, but not that big. Now, after this disappointing season, I think Liverpool will be really busy on the market, maybe with 4 or 5 signings. And this is why spending that kind of money on one single player, Bellingham is a special player, but it's just one player, is something that Liverpool can't do in this moment financially. And so this is why they're now thinking to go for different kind of targets instead of going for just one big star like Jude Bellingham.
Is there a feeling, do you think, as well, that Liverpool missing out on the Champions League maybe means that other clubs would be ahead of them in sort of Bellingham's order of preference?
I'm not sure it's just about that, because Jude Bellingham will decide about the project, about the idea of the club. It's not just about the next season. Liverpool will be back in Champions League in the future, so I'm sure Bellingham is not making any kind of decision based on the Champions League football for next season, but it's about the project. And so this is why Real Madrid remain there. We know that Real Madrid always wanted Jude Bellingham, and they remain in the race. They're still speaking to people close to Jude Bellingham. So Real Madrid will be there. Manchester City will be there too, because they want to invest money on a midfielder in the summer, and Bellingham is the priority target for them. Let's see if some other club will join the race, because for Man United, it only depends on the owner situation. We know the club is for sale. There is the sale process still ongoing, and so they still don't know how much they can invest, and the priority remains a striker. But Bellingham is appreciated, but depends on the timing of the club sale. And that's the situation at the moment. I'm not hearing of any other club really close or into the race for Jude Bellingham. So it's up to the player, but keep an eye also on Borussia Dortmund, because they still hope they can keep the player maybe for one more season, extend his contract, maybe put a release clause into the contract. So that kind of solution is something we have to consider until the end of this story.
Selvedin potentially getting a bit ahead of himself there in the chat, asking what your percentage chance of Bellingham leaving this summer, and also your opinion whether he's most likely to choose Real Madrid or Manchester City, assuming that they go in for him.
Honestly, this depends on the player. I'm not Jude Bellingham, unfortunately, so I don't know what he's gonna decide. But for sure, he's speaking to both clubs, Real Madrid and Manchester City. Of course, this is different kind of club, different kind of project, different type of history, but also different type of idea for the future. So Jude Bellingham will take his time. We heard many stories, November, December, January, like saying something was imminent, but that was never imminent because the player will take his time. It's also important to remind that Bellingham is deciding together with his father, Mark, so there are no big agents involved in the story. He's the player and his father taking care of the negotiations. This is important because it's showing how they want to assess their options and to take their time. So City, Real Madrid will be there, but Dortmund will try until the end to keep him for one more season.
And in terms of Liverpool potentially moving on to other targets, there's been a lot of speculation about a number of players leaving Brighton, for example, Alexis McAllister, Mitoma, Caicedo. Do you get the feeling that any of those three, might be players that Liverpool look at, or somebody else perhaps, sort of unexpectedly cropping up on their radar?
Sure. I think from what I heard, both players, Caicedo and McAllister, are attracting a lot of interest. We know for Caicedo there was a bid from Arsenal in January, £60 million, and then £70 million second bid that don't include it, but that was rejected. Caicedo extended his contract at Brighton, but from what I heard, the player is still thinking to leave in the summer. Then we know how complicated it is to negotiate with Brighton. We know the Cucurella story and many others in the last few years showing how tough they are in the negotiations, and so it's not going to be easy for any club. From what I heard on Caicedo, there is interest of many clubs, also including Liverpool, but Arsenal are still there, and also Chelsea are looking for that kind of player, so I will keep an eye on Chelsea too. For McAllister, I'm sure that there are three clubs in the race: Manchester United, Chelsea, and Liverpool. These three clubs are keen on signing Alexis McAllister. The player wants to decide as soon as possible, so he doesn't want a late move in the market like August, July. He hopes to be ready like in June. So early days in the transfer market. Let's see what's going to happen, but it always depends on Brighton. We have to respect Brighton because it's always complicated to sign players from them, and so let's see how the club-to-club negotiation will go. For Mitoma, I think Brighton will try all their best to keep the player at least for one more season.
Our long-time listener of the show, Rafa Cardenas, asking if McAllister will definitely leave Brighton this summer, and could he potentially leave the Premier League altogether? Do you think that's also a possibility for him?
Could be a possibility, but from what I heard, the three clubs who are pushing are all from the Premier League: Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool. Liverpool will now go for many midfielders, because I'm not sure they just will sign one. I think they will sign two or maybe three midfielders in the summer after the Jude Bellingham story. And so this is the idea. And McAllister is one of the players they have in the list. We have to see how the conversation with the player and his father will go, because that is going to be a crucial point of the story. But I think it's going to be something fast on the market. They will try to find a solution as soon as possible, May, June, because the player really wants to be ready for the preseason. It's really important for him to be in good condition, involved in the tactical ideas, and so this is why for McAllister the timing of the deal is going to be something important.
All right, time to shout out to our regular host, Ian Paul Joy, as we head over to the Bundesliga and look at what's going on in Germany. With Bayern Munich, who got Sadio Mane dropped. Club statement: Sadio Mane, 31, will not be included in the FC Bayern squad for this Saturday's home match against 1899 Hoffenheim. This is due to his misconduct after Bayern's Champions League match at Manchester City. Mane will also be given a fine. Very bad week for Bayern, Fab. Could Thomas Tuchel be in trouble already? That probably seems unlikely, but they have also gone out to the DFB Pokal as well. But surely this brings, the summer plans to the forefront of Bayern's attention, given how difficult it looks now in that Champions League tie against Manchester City.
Yes, first of all, I think that story between Mane and Sané was really crazy, unexpected. We're speaking about two experienced players, no? So we never expect this kind of scenes, especially after a Champions League game. Also, first leg, not even the second. So it's really, really surprising and really disappointing. But as you mentioned, it's a difficult moment for Bayern, not easy at all. From what I heard, Thomas Tuchel is absolutely not in trouble. So the idea of Bayern is to continue with Tuchel, no matter what happens in the final games of the season. Also in the Bundesliga, they want to continue with him. There is a long-term project. Of course, they did something surprising by deciding to go with Thomas Tuchel during the season, during the international break. But the idea is to protect him, to be with Tuchel, to build a squad for next season, starting with Konrad Laimer, who will be Bayer player on a free transfer from Leipzig because the deal is done. But also they will complete the squad in many other positions. I think this Champions League situation after the Manchester City game, and again, let's wait for the Allianz Arena game, but in case Bayern will be out of the Champions League at this stage in the quarterfinals, I think that is going to change also the plans for the summer, because in February, in March, Bayern were not that convinced about signing new striker. They extended the contract of Choupo-Moting, and so the idea was to trust Choupo-Moting as player, as face of the Bayern project also for the next season. But my feeling is that if Bayern will be out of the Champions League in the quarterfinals, the idea will be to go for a center striker in the summer, an important striker, and to give Tuchel a new number 9 to replace Lewandowski, who left last summer. So keep an eye also on these transfer market consequences for Bayern, because this could be one of the big topics.
Oh, you mentioned the potential search for a striker, and one German club who will be without one of their strikers is Borussia Mönchengladbach. They've conceded that Rami Bensebaini and Marcus Thuram will both be leaving in the summer as free agents. Do you have any idea where they're going, Fab?
For Bensebaini, he's going to be Borussia Dortmund player. The deal is almost done. They have to sign the final documents, but everything is agreed. So Bensebaini will be the new left back of Borussia Dortmund. And also Borussia Dortmund remain keen on signing that kind of free agents. They are interested in Kamada, who's going to leave Eintracht Frankfurt. And for Marcus Thuram, a lot of interest. English clubs, Spanish clubs, including Barcelona, always been tracking the player, but they have different priorities now. We know Leo Messi and not only. And also Italian clubs. So there is a lot of interest around Marcus Thuram. I heard that Bayern was not interested with Julian Nagelsmann as a coach. So I don't see Bayern as a priority. Let's see if Tuchel will change this story. But at the moment, there is no negotiation. And so Premier League, La Liga, these are two possibilities for Marcus Thuram. For sure is a big opportunity, and it still sounds surprising to me when German clubs in April, in May start announcing player leaving on a free. In Italy, for example, that would be impossible, and maybe also in other countries, but I appreciate how clear they are, no? Like Eintracht with Kamada, Wolfsburg did the same with Marmoush, who is joining Eintracht on a free transfer, so they're very clear, and Borussia Dortmund are going to do the same, because I think they will announce very soon Bensebaini as new signing.
All right, we've got a couple more minutes with Fab, so we're going to take a quick break, but keep those questions for him coming in, and we're going to hit some Chelsea rumours after the break.
Europe's most exciting title race continues with world-class clubs, legendary rivals, and unbelievable goals.
Brilliant! What a goal!
The Serie A lives here on CBS Sports Network and streaming live on Paramount+.
All right, if you are a US-based fan of the beautiful game, Paramount Plus is an absolute must-have subscription from the NWSL to the Champions League to Serie A and much more in between. Not sure it's for you? Well, then you can try 1 month for free by using the code NWSL2023. All right, Fab, let's hit on some of those Chelsea rumours. We've got Frank Lampard in his second stint as manager. Is the club actually any closer to potentially finding a permanent replacement for him?
Nothing is agreed yet with any coach, but I'm still told that Julian Nagelsmann and Luis Enrique are the two favorites to get the Chelsea job. So they've been really appreciated in the conversations, in the talks they had with the Chelsea board. Now, of course, they want to take some time because they want to be 100% sure of who's going to be the coach. This is going to be something really long-term. They can't miss again after what happened with Graham Potter. They paid important money. They were 100% convinced of Potter as a coach of Chelsea for present and future, and this didn't happen. So for Chelsea, is really crucial, this kind of appointment, and this is why the conversation with Nagelsmann and with Luis Enrique will continue. Let's see if there will be some other candidate, but as of today, I'm hearing that there is no conversation with Mauricio Pochettino, no conversation with any other coach at this stage, but it's still a long process. I can confirm what we always said here, that Frank Lampard has almost no chances to continue. In case things will continue like this, is almost impossible, and Chelsea see Lampard as interim manager, but for the future, they will go for a different one.
Well, you've got N'Golo Conte happy in London, back on the pitch now as well. Do you have any updates, any latest on his potential extension?
My expectation is for N'Golo Kante to extend the contract. From what I heard, the conversation is very advanced already since February. And this N'Golo Kante who changed the story, because in November, in December, he received some approaches from different countries, different leagues, including also some European club. But N'Golo Kante was never convinced because he wants to continue in London. He loves London. He loves the city. He also loves Chelsea. And so he wanted to give priority to Chelsea talks, also to change a bit the conditions of the negotiation. And this is why now the agreement is really close. I think the final details are about the option for further season. So they have to decide if they extend the contract for 2 years or 3 years, or maybe 2 years with an option. This could be the most concrete possibility, but the conversation is ongoing. N'Golo Kante wants to stay. Chelsea are very happy with him. And I think they also feel internally that they need some leader, not just young talents, not just new players, but also someone who knows the club so well. This is why they extended the contract of Thiago Silva, and this is why the process for N'Golo Kante to extend the contract is very advanced.
Well, you've got Joao Felix's loan move nearing its expiration. Is there any chance that he'll make a permanent switch, or do you expect him to be going back to Atletico Madrid at the end of this season?
No, this is a serious possibility. From what I heard, Chelsea internally are planning next season with Joao Felix as one of the players they want to keep. So they hope to be able to find an agreement with Atletico Madrid, because officially there is no buy option included in the contract. It's a straight loan. And so this is why there will be a conversation between Chelsea and Atletico Madrid at the end of the season to discuss about Joao Felix. It's important to say that in January, Atletico always asked around 100 million euros for Joao Felix. So not an easy negotiation at all, an expensive player, an important salary. So Chelsea have to make sure they can find a solution with Atletico at the right conditions, but they want to keep Joao Felix, and Joao would be happy to stay, from what I heard. He's very happy with Premier League football, with his new experience in England. So Chelsea and Joao want the same thing. Now there are two factors: the negotiation with Atletico Madrid on the price, but also the new coach. New Chelsea coach is going to be important to understand what they will decide on Joao Felix. If he wants Joao Felix to stay, let me remind that Christopher Nkunku will be new Chelsea player in the summer. And so in that position, they already have someone who is arriving, the situation of Mason Mount, who has still no agreement to extend the contract. And so many things to decide with the future coach, including the future of Joao Felix.
Do you think as well that Chelsea will be targeting a striker for this summer, or do you think that the expectation is maybe that Nkunku will fill that role, that sort of lack of a proven goal scorer that they have at this moment in time?
No, from what I heard, then it could change with the new coach. But as of today, Chelsea want to sign a new striker, and they consider Nkunku to play behind the striker, so in different kind of position. This is the idea. Then let's see who's going to be the coach, what is going to be the idea of the new manager. But at the moment, I heard that Chelsea are in the market for a new striker.
Fantastic stuff. All right, we've got a couple more minutes left with Fab, so keep those questions in. We're going to open it up to the floor and get a couple of questions to Fab right now. Here we go. You've got one saying, we want to know about Arsenal targets in the summer besides Declan Rice. Is there another midfielder? Also options for right back and right wing. Oh, that's three questions in one, Fab. Have at it.
Yes, and I think it's not easy in this moment to mention too many targets for Arsenal. Why? Because they really want to enjoy these final games and to focus on these final games, because it's an historical moment for Arsenal. And so they don't want too many rumors in the media, because now they only want the squad to be focused on the pitch and to win the Premier League title. So this is why you don't see many names around, because really Arsenal are focused on the present. What I can say is that for sure Declan Rice is one of the players they appreciate, but let me say again that Moises Caicedo remains in the list at Arsenal. So they're looking for a new midfielder, and they will go for a new important midfielder in the summer. For the right back, they appreciate Ivan Fresneda from Real Valladolid. We know he was already in the list in January, but Borussia Dortmund are there too, and so the race is still open for Fresneda, still nothing decided. And then we have to see for the winger, but I think for the winger it could take some time. For example, a player they always appreciated is Moussa Diaby, who is a very talented boy of Bayern Leverkusen, but again, nothing is advanced at this stage, nothing is concrete. For Arsenal, the important point is the present, the Premier League title. The new contract of Bukayo Saka is going to be completed and signed very soon. Then focus also on other contract extensions, including William Saliba. That's going to be a really important one. Let me remind that contract extensions are crucial in football today. And when you keep players like Saka, Martinelli, maybe Saliba, conversations ongoing, this is really important for a top club like Arsenal. And then they will plan for summer targets for sure.
Oh, and obviously there's the situation with Fuller and Balogun as well. Just a quick one from me, Fab. How true is the recent speculation regarding the potential price tag that Arsenal could be putting on Balogun for this summer based on his form in Ligue 1 with Reims?
Yes, it's true. It's true that Balogun could be one of the big names in the transfer market domain of strikers, because I think there will be many. Balogun is really appreciated. It's true that Leipzig appreciate the player. They wanted Jonathan David, but at the moment it's too expensive. And so Balogun is a concrete transfer target for Leipzig. But there are many clubs, including Italian, English, German clubs. There is a big race for Balogun. At the moment, Arsenal have not decided yet what they want to do with him. But of course, they have Nketiah, they have Gabriel Jesus. They're performing at very good level. And this is why there will be a meeting in the next weeks. At the moment, they want the player to focus on the final games of the season. And then I think they will make a final decision on Balogun.
Well, one other one of interest to the USMNT fans out there. Are there any clubs interested in signing Serginho Dest this summer, Fab?
Of course, there will be, but at the moment it's really early. I think it's something that will be discussed like in June, in July. He will leave Milan because Milan will not pay any money for the buy option to Barcelona. So the player will be back to Barca, and then they will make a decision. There was some rumor on Union Berlin, but I heard that this is not a priority. I think he will go elsewhere.
All right, fantastic stuff, Fab. As always, thank you so much for your time. Thanks so much as well to you guys for tuning in to House of Champions. So please take a minute to leave us a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere that you listen to your podcasts. In fact, we're also available as videos. So subscribe to us on YouTube. Fab, thanks so much, my friend. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. And catch up again soon.
Thank you. See you soon. Ciao.